Hello? Hello? Alright, we are good. Hello, YouTube world! Hold up. There we go. Hello, YouTube world! This is Nicholas Montez here. And welcome back to another, YouTube video, everybody. I know I just posted, 2 videos, 10 minutes ago, but today we're kind of stacked on some videos, and I wanted to get some videos out since I haven't really been posting lately, but today we are doing the ultimate video that I tend to do whenever a new movie comes out, and we're reviewing the newest MCU film, Captain America: Brave New World. Now, if you guys know me, this has been a film that I've been nervous for, but also kind of excited for, and I've had a lot of feelings on it and what this film is trying to do and deliver and all that good stuff. So I think before we get started talking about it, it's best to explain what were my feelings going into this film. But let me go ahead and edit the content chapters down below. Okay, so we're a little delayed from it, so just be aware. But okay, because thoughts before going into it starts at 2:20. But so my thoughts before going into this movie were very interesting because on the one hand, when you're announcing a fourth Captain America movie, that is interesting, and having Sam Wilson be the main character, I was so excited for that. And coming off, and because this movie is not just a sequel to a great trilogy of three Steve Rogers Captain America films, it's also the first time we get to see Sam Wilson as Captain America in his first feature-length movie, and to see him be the main character. And it's also the sequel to Falcon the Winter Soldier, and that crew of that made that show is coming back, and I really liked that show, so there were a lot of stuff from that I was really excited for. And then here's where the stuff that kind of made me nervous going into it. On the plus side, we're getting a bunch of Hulk characters in this film. Now, that's not to say that stuff like Harrison Ford playing Thunderbolt Ross in the film is bad. I was actually kind of excited for that because, Ross has kind of been a character in the Captain America movies from, Civil War, being the Secretary of State. And, obviously, Harrison Ford had to play him because William Hurt passed away. So I thought the Ross character coming back was interesting. Not only that, you also get the announcement that Samuel Stearns, Tim Blake Nelson, is coming back to play the leader, in which I was curious, but why are you bringing back him in a Captain America movie? I get it, he connects back to Ross and the Hulk and the Incredible Hulk movie, but I'm like, why are all the Incredible Hulk storylines in a Captain America movie? And so that to me just kind of felt a little off to me. And then likewise, I also just hated how this is another one of those MCU films that just kept getting reshoots. And this movie has faults because of that, and we'll talk about that and what I mean by that. But yeah, I think when it came to just the excitement of it being a Captain America movie with Sam Wilson, it was exciting enough. But when you're announcing all this Incredible Hulk stuff, and we're gonna bring Harrison Ford in as Thunderbolt Ross as the president of the United States, and we're gonna make him Red Hulk, like, it's cool, but what you should have done another Hulk movie instead. But with that said, I think this is where we can finally start talking about the movie. So, where should we start? I think overall we're going to start talking about Sam Wilson's Captain America. And I think the first thing we should talk about here is, of course, our main character in Sam Wilson's Captain America. And I heard one of the big negatives with this movie is that because the movie was more centered around the Incredible Hulk stuff, it felt like it was just a Hulk movie centered that had Sam Wilson as the main character. That wasn't the case at all. Sam Wilson, I think, carried the movie really well. I thought in the way that they portrayed him as this version of Captain America was something interesting. To see him actually, protect people and to be someone that cares about the people and stuff like that, and, see him interacting with soldiers, interacting with specific people and stuff like that, protecting people. He has all the greatness of a great Captain America. And I even like a little bit of the arc that, like, he's a human being, and that when he gets his friend hurt, when his friend gets hurt, he feels like it's his responsibility, in which it is, but at the same time, it's like it's not his fault because his friend chose to help him, not him. But it's his responsibility, though. So I overall really enjoyed the arc with Sam Wilson, and I even enjoyed Joaquin Torres, which I guess we could talk about him. Well, actually, I'll just include it. So, Torres. Yeah, Torres, I thought was another fun, interesting character. I liked him and Sam's dynamic. I thought, making him the new Falcon was kind of fun. I wish I had more to say about it, but honestly, it was good. I liked their interactions. I guess the next one we'll talk about here is Isaiah Bradley. Says he's another solid, standout character. And with Isaiah Bradley, I think he was actually handled really well. I think after watching this movie and, of course, Falcon and Winter Soldier, this movie, these two projects make me just want to see a Isaiah Bradley Captain America movie where he's in the Korean War and he's fighting all these people, but then what led to him being tested on and all this stuff back in the day makes me so interested. And Carl Lumbly's performance as Isaiah Bradley in this film is so fantastic. And the idea of what his interpretation of Sam Wilson's Captain America working for Thunderbolt Ross, the general that, as he's a white president, he's a white general, he does not trust him, especially Ross. He does not trust Ross at all. And so you understand everything about him and his performance. Oh man, this guy's performance is fantastic. So, yeah. I loved Isaiah Bradley in this film. I do wish he may have gotten the action a little bit, but then again, what could you do? But I thought he was really great. I guess the next thing we'll talk about here is Harrison Ford's Ross. And with Harrison Ford's Ross, so keep in mind, if you don't know, why is Harrison Ford in this movie? Who is he? If you don't know, he is replacing the character Thaddeus Ross, the general that was in Incredible Hulk, as well as the secretary in Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War and Endgame and Black Widow. And the original actor for this character was William Hurt, but back in 2022, he unfortunately passed away. So they brought in a new actor, Harrison Ford. And I thought the way Harrison Ford brought this character was something interesting. I really like that. This is kind of the first time where we are truly given, where Ross is truly given an actual story in these movies. He kind of feels like a sideline character, you know. Incredible Hulk, he's just the general trying to track down Bruce Banner. Captain America Civil War, he's trying to put all these superheroes to a rest. And then in Infinity War and Endgame, he's just kind of there. And then in Black Widow, well, he's just tracking all of Team Captain America. But in this movie, I think this might be the best usage of the character, and especially with Harrison Ford playing him. I liked that, you know, he went from... I loved his journey. I loved Ross's journey in the MCU. He was from a general, a secretary, and now he's the president of the United States. And I love the arc that he is just trying to change for the better. And the way to change, he quits smoking cigars, he cuts off his mustache, he becomes the president, and he's also trying to reform the Avengers. Which... you come to think of it, that's actually the cool thing about this post-blip era, is that, you know, you think going back a few years before all of this, like Sharon Carter, she was one of our good guys, now she's the power broker, and the blip, and the Sokovia Accords and all that stuff, it changed her for the better, or for the good, or I don't know, for the bad. And it's interesting to see how much the blip has changed that with Ross. And also, I like the arc that he is just trying to get back with his daughter, and that he's just trying to be a better man. I really enjoyed that stuff. And I also really liked the history on him and Samuel Stearns, in that... throughout the years, he kind of like imprisoned Stearns, but at the same time he went to him for help. And that his heart was like not working, and so he needed pills to help him. But over the years, those pills kind of went a little nuts and got into his blood and were not treating him well, to where it led to him turning into Red Hulk. Which I guess can lead us to talking about Red Hulk, which is also in the Ross section of this stream. What are my thoughts on Red Hulk? It's good. It's really good. It is just so good to see the monstrous Hulk again. Monstrous Hulk again. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate Smart Hulk. I don't hate She-Hulk. And I personally don't hate Abomination. But it is kind of lame that we haven't really gotten the intensity of Hulk since, like, Thor Ragnarok or Age of Ultron, or even the beginning of Infinity War. Literally since Infinity War, Thanos smashed the Hulk out of him. But in this movie, it's really good. You get to see a lot of damage done. Um, it's the fight between him and Cap is really good. Though I have some issues when it comes to some of the action, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So I'm kind of just talking about the positives overall. Um, and yeah, I think that's where we'll start talking about the leader stuff. And with the leader, of course, everybody was like, I have my issues in that I don't think he should be the villain of this movie because he's not really a Captain America villain. He is a Hulk villain. But even though I don't think he belongs in this movie, I still liked the way that they did him. Obviously, a lot of people are complaining about the design of him and that he doesn't have this big, massive head because of the gamma radiation. But if you really think about it, it would have looked dumb. Like, people, if you really think about it, even if they made it comic accurate, I think people would probably complain either way. I mean, they did MODOK comic accurate, and they complained. They still complained. I mean, I'm also complaining too because it just looks weird. It looks funny. But besides that, I mean, I think the way they did the design was okay. It was alright. Nothing too crazy, though. But just in general, I liked the way they did his character, though. Like, everybody kept saying this was just the craziest thing ever. Sure, some of the dialogue and talking about mind control is stupid. Are you crazy? Yeah, it's a little weird, but I liked the way they did him because the villain itself is simple. He is the idea of him and bringing him back after all these years, and what would that be like? It's simple enough to do. I don't really understand, what everybody was expecting of him. Like, do you want to see, a World War Hulk? Where everybody just starts turning into Hulks? Is that what you want him to do? And the idea of this scientist who was trying to cure Bruce Banner, and you see him after all these years, and you see what the gamma radiation has done to his head, and it's turned him a lot smarter. And he has this intellect, and he can, do mind games and all that stuff. And I really enjoy that stuff, and I liked the stuff that he did in this movie, taking calls, trying to get in Ross's head, make him angry, mess with people a little bit, and that he's a different type of villain. So I kind of liked it. I kind of liked that. And I liked that he basically is trying to tease the next two Avengers movies to Cap. That was cool. So yeah, I don't really understand the hate the leader got in this movie. Would I have loved to see a comic accurate leader? Probably. Would I have preferred to see him do other things than to mess with Ross? Maybe, but I liked the way they did leader. I'm not really complaining. And I think that's where we'll just end talking about sort of the positives. Let's move on to some of the negatives, and I think we'll talk about the story. And when we talk about the story here, I feel like that, because the actual story of this movie, I feel like the story of this movie kind of works, because I feel like that this would have been a good Captain America story if it was done with Steve Rogers. If, Captain America's in the present day, he's working for the president, and someone is trying to kill the president, but we don't know who it is. And it's up to Captain America to go out there and try to stop whoever killed the president. That overall sounds like a good storyline to me. And I like that that's basically what this story is, and we're trying to discover who shot the president, why did Isaiah Bradley react the way he did, and what happened to all these other shooters. And obviously, the mystery of it, it's nothing crazy. Leader just mind controlled them by using a certain music song that involves Mr. Blue lyrics. It's interesting enough. The fact that they just use mind control, though, I think the whole Winter Soldier stuff is a little bit better. And then also they did actually have an interesting setup for a story here with going to the Celestial Island. If you don't know, this also does a good. Not only does this connect with the Incredible Hulk, but this also does a interesting job in connecting to Eternals with the big celestial head sticking out of the Indian Ocean, and basically revealing that this whole island is made out of adamantium. If you don't know, it is the stuff that makes Wolverine's body and bones. And I'm not gonna lie, when they first announced this plot line, I was like, this is cool, and that they're finally revealing something to us that Eternals is they're finally like touching it, that a big celestial head is sticking out of the Indian Ocean, and we're finally touching it. It's adamantium. We're gonna go to it. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't think that they handled this story really well. I don't really think the story was quite interesting, because during the little thing before the assassination at the White House, Ross keeps talking about this treaty between like the Japanese and like all these other places, and that like this treaty needs to work. This treaty needs to work. I'm sorry. Like, what treaty? What treaty are you talking about? What is this treaty you're talking about? And honestly, and we'll talk more about this when it comes to the action side of things. But the whole action scene where, you have Captain America and Falcon in the sky, and we're trying to stop these jets from like firing Japan or whatever. Yeah, I was a little disappointed with that action scene. And it looks really cool from the trailers, he's cutting up things with his wings, and he's like using his shield in such clever ways and stopping missiles with everything. But I'm like, what exactly are we trying to stop here? Are we stopping like bad guys here? Or like mind control people? And are we stopping missiles? Or are we trying to like save people and get them out of these jets? Like, what exactly are we doing here? And then Falcon gets shot out of the sky, so it kind of has some stakes, but I couldn't really care for it because he's still trying to shoot it, but once he shoots it, it blows up in his face. Like, what are we doing here? Like, what is this? And I mean, it had some serious stakes because the Falcon did get injured, because Torres did get injured and had to go in the hospital. But I'm like, I don't get that scene. And then, like, Leader turns himself in, and then Red Hulk is released. And while the Red Hulk scene is pretty good, there's no stakes to it. All you're doing is just destroying half the White House. You're tearing half of the Washington Monument down, and then you're destroying an entire, like, patch of flowers in Washington, D.C. So yeah, it was kind of underwhelming with those aspects. I think the next two things I want to mention. Oh yeah, I'm not gonna make a separate section of this, but seeing Bucky again, man, that was a good one. I really liked it. I felt a little weird that they weren't gonna bring back Bucky for this movie, because I'm like, I get it, he's gonna be in Thunderbolts, but I'm like, he's been in the Captain America movies for as long as I can remember. So I'm like, if they didn't bring him back, that would be terrible. But they did end up bringing him back, and I am totally grateful for it. And I like that he is now like doing U.S. campaigns and all that stuff, and he's like a U.S. official or something like that. That's cool. I think the next thing we'll talk about here is the lack of Captain Americaism. And I think the other issue I have with this film is this movie kind of lacks some of the stuff that was so good about the first three Captain America movies. And I think really it comes down when it comes like the hopefulness of Sam Wilson's Captain America, it's there. When it comes to some of the supporting cast members, it's actually there. I'm interested in them. I like Joaquin Torres. I like Isaiah Bradley. I really like Harrison Ford as Ross. And honestly, that's kind of all the characters you need to go around here, honestly. And then you get Bucky, but he's not really a main character in here. You do get this one Black Widow character, like an ex-Widow. I don't really know why you need to bring her in here. I guess, like, they wanted to... it's a small way to show, like, how much of these widows are, like, being changed and being made into society. I don't know. I guess that's just what they're doing. But, like, even when it comes down, like, to the villains, like, if you know, Giancarlo Esposito's character, I think was kind of wasted in this movie. Like, the one scene when he's, like, shooting up Sam and he's, like, trying to shoot him down, that whole scene I really liked because it gave me a lot of, like, Winter Soldier vibes of when Nick Fury is getting shot up by all the police cars. But that's kind of just one scene, and he doesn't really seem like a big threat. And to be honest, he seems like the only and like I really hated that they during the reshoots of the movie they just wrote the entire Serpent Society out, and like they had this idea that they were going to bring in this other MMA fighter for Cap to fight, but they wrote him out. His name was like Rollins or something, Jack Rollins or something, and I think he was gonna play like the Cobra character, but they wrote all those characters out, and I'm like, you do realize this is like an iconic Captain America team, and I don't know if this would have been like the team that Cap would have to fight, because they kept talking. I remember I saw a thing that they were trying to do, and that they wanted to make an action sequence that was so much like the elevator fight scene, that had the same energy and level like the elevator fight scene. And I don't think there's actually a scene like that in the movie. And so yeah, this movie lacks like the Captain America villains. Really, if you really think about it, Giancarlo Esposito is like the only like villain of Captain America-isms in the film. And Leader is the only villain. And plus, when it comes to villains, there's not really like real villains in the movie. Everyone that we're kind of fighting here just kind of feels like they're only being mind controlled, or they're taking orders from the president. And that's not really that great. So I was a little bit underwhelmed by that. So yeah, and I guess the next thing we'll talk about is the action. And I think when it comes to the action in this movie, some of it is actually good. To be honest, I actually prefer the hand-to-hand, combat rather than the CGI flying around action. And I wish I could say I liked the flying around action a lot better, because it was kind of hard to sit through, to be honest. When it came to hand-to-hand combat action, like, it was actually kind of fine. Like, it's not as good as, like, say, like, the boat scene in Winter Soldier, and he's stopping, George Batroc. But it's good. I liked the fighting style. I do wish it was a little bit better, but it was good. But like I said, the whole scene where we're trying to stop all this stuff, to be honest, half of it didn't really make sense to me, and what we were trying to save or stop. Like, it's not as, like, scenes like this, like Iron Man. Iron Man did it so well, where he's in the sky, he's getting shot up by these jets, and he's trying to like wiggle them off, and then he accidentally gets hit from one of them. And we understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to save the jet pilot. And in this movie, we don't really know what we're trying to do. Are we trying to stop missiles from shooting Japanese people? Are we trying to save pilots from being mind controlled? Are we trying to stop these jet planes? Are we trying to stop these people because they're our enemies? Like, what is going on here? And like, we get some confirmation like some of these people were trying to follow them to lead them in the action, but like it was so weird. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it was a little odd in the way that action sequence worked, but some parts were still kind of fun. And then I think I want to critique the Red Hulk and Captain America fight here, because while I really enjoyed this fight and I thought, it gave me all the, spectacle and destruction that I've always wanted from a Captain America Red Hulk fight, here's the problem here. I think that that whole scene right there I think that scene and all the Hulk stuff in the movie. No, actually, no, wait. This whole scene right here encapsulates in the Hulk stuff why the movie is kind of mid to me. Besides all the weird storytelling, I think that this one just easily ruins it, because it has sort of the same faults of like Shang-Chi and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, where Shang-Chi had so much goodness to be one of the best MCU films, and you ruined it by killing Wenwu, bringing in these soul-sucker monsters, and then ruining the ending with a joke. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania ruins everything by not even bringing Luis back, but giving no characters, no character arc, and making Ant-Man fight our future main boss of this multiverse saga, and he wins. Even though there's more coming, he wins. He beats our main variant. And why on earth would we want to see Ant-Man fight Kang? That's not interesting to me. And so why on earth would I want to see Sam Wilson Captain America fight Red Hulk? That's not interesting to me. If anything, I think probably the thing that they did in the reshoots was they erased Bruce Banner coming in to help fight Red Hulk. I'm pretty sure that's what could have happened, because while the fight was cool, like, all you have is Sam Wilson just flying around and not necessarily like getting a hit in, because you can't fight a Hulk. It's impossible. Now, there's some clever movements in the way of what he's doing. Like, he uses wings to like cut his back, or use some like to like cut him open. And so yeah, it's impressive a little bit, but it's not doing too much. And then of course, he has the addition of the wings of like the Black Panther technology, so it's like it's helping him a little bit. But like, are you serious right now? Like, why are you doing that? And so yeah, it was a little odd to me, but hey, I still kind of liked it. And plus, I thought the fight was actually just kind of too quick. So, yeah. And I think the other thing, since we're in the action side of things, let's talk about some of Sam's suits. I really was not a big fan of the suit change-up in this movie. I don't even know how he got another suit for this movie, to where because the first suit was actually really good. I liked the white and blue and all that stuff. However, when it came to just the straight up blue suit in this one, it looked a little funny. And it's like you see him showing his arms a little bit, and it's like kind of gloveless. But I'm like, what is the point of doing that? Like, why? And why do most superheroes have like gloveless? like fingerless gloves. What is the point of doing that, honestly? But and then also, now I will say there are actually some things I did like about his suit. I liked that his suit had like this helmet, that like nanotech helmet that like helped him. So like if he was fighting Red Hulk, he would, put the helmet on, and I liked that because he's a flyer, so he's a pilot, and it kind of represents a pilot. So I thought it was kind of cool to do that. Though it didn't really make sense into why he still had the glasses when he could have easily taken those off. Like, makes no sense. If you wanted, like, I don't know, it was a little funny to me, but and what are my thoughts on like the vibranium absorbent wings? They're fine. I don't really have too many thoughts to say about them, but they're fine. I mean, obviously, it won't be as interesting to see Shuri do that, but we obviously can't see T'Challa do that ever again. So it's good to see that our new Cap is doing that. But yeah, that's all I have to say. So that is kind of my major thoughts on Captain America: Brave New World. Overall, I'm gonna give this a B. Excuse me. I'm going to give this one a B minus, but on the entertainment score, I'm going to give it like a 7.5. So that's where I'll go with it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my theories, and then we're going to talk about Thunderbolts. So my theories for this movie, and like what do I think is gonna happen? I think it's a nice setup to see for the MCU, and that it's finally connecting with stuff. I just hope for future MCU movies, when they do this, they connect a lot better, because I think they had a good setup for the adamantium stuff. So it's like, where exactly is that stuff going to go? As for it basically being that we want to bring the Avengers back, okay, let's set up the Avengers. I want to see where that goes. And I think maybe we'll see the next Avengers team in Doomsday, and we'll see Sam lead. So I'm interested to see that. And maybe we'll see all the heroes of the Earth team up together. So that'll be interesting. And now let's talk about Thunderbolts.
I've done this temporarily at my shop. Work there.
Oh, hold up.
Say what you really want to do.
My bad.
Let's involve soup dump.
Sorry. And finally, am I excited for Thunderbolts? The next MCU film coming out after Captain America: Brave New World. After watching this a little bit, and after watching the trailer that we got at the Super Bowl, I am very excited for Thunderbolts. Of course, when they first announced it, I was very excited, but then when they got the roster on, I was like, how is this gonna work? And then I think the first two trailers we've gone, I'm like, this looks fun, but I don't really know if I'm gonna love it. And now for for this new trailer that's come out, I'm kind of digging it now. And I kind of understand the story a little bit more, but now I just really want to see what's going on. And is this like a new shape of film for the MCU? And is this going to be like an emotional story to where it makes sense and that these characters need to be together? It's like Marvel's version of Suicide Squad. So I am very excited for Thunderbolts, and I really hope it's good. And I even hope Fantastic Four is good too. But that is it. That's my thoughts on Captain America Brave New World, as well as everything else. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. Peace.